Hey bud, what's going on? Did you catch up to how's this pronounced? Kachiakuda, Gachikuda? Yeah, I am caught up on it. I spent a day and just kind of, well, I guess not like a day. I spent like an hour or two the other day just reading, and I got caught up. But I'm gonna do that with I want to do that with Gate of Nightmares, and then I want to do that with what is it, Dadan or whatever, however its name is fucking pronounced. I want to spend some time and just catch up with that too, because I want to review all three of those for my channel. I have a lot of stuff planned that I'm hopefully gonna have set up for the next few days and have out, and then get to a bunch of other stuff that I have set up. But today we got 100 Years Quest, which will be out in just a few minutes, and we will see what goes next with the Urza and Misaki fight. My big hopes are obviously Misaki gets up. Like, Misaki, I don't think should be done. Like, the panel, I already explained why I don't think the panel is convincing that she's defeated, because that's why I use this one, and we'll find out in a few minutes. But like, she doesn't look like she's got a lot of visual damage. You see, like, her coat is relatively fine. It looks a little damaged. Her hair doesn't look too messed up. You don't really see her face. And on top of that, like, she's a dragon slayer, so she should be extremely durable. So I will be really surprised if she's defeated just here. So we'll see in a couple minutes if she's gonna get back up or if she's gonna stay down. And it'd be so weird if Mishima like throws her away that fast, given the fact that he's been treating the Dragon Eaters relatively pretty well, especially the Dark Dragon Slayer Knights. So I don't know. We'll have to just give it a moment and then just figure out what his overall plan is with this whole setup. Hope we get a peek of Selene Igneous fight. Well, we're gonna definitely see them have to get confronted before we see them fight. Like, there's gonna be a moment of just that kind of calm before the storm, before we have to get to that point. But we might get that this chapter if the Selene or if the Misaki and Urza fight gets cut off. I'm kind of hoping it ends in a draw, and they have a rematch in a bit, like in a it's sometime later in the arc, kind of like before the next Laxus and Kieran rematch, and then we get that Ignia and Selene fight. And I don't expect us to have to get it right now, but logically you would want the current fight to get finished before you get to the next fight, and you want the biggest most type thing to happen at the after this point, because otherwise it's like we get the biggest fight and we come back to the Urza and Misaki fight. We don't need that directly. Okay, let's see. Chapter should be out. Let me go to it. And as I said during previous streams, I'm not going to read the chat as I read the chapter. Okay, the first panel that we see, like at least in the thumbnail for the chapter, is Natsu and Suzaku. So let's see what they're doing. Okay, we got the cover for the chapter. Oh, this is a wholesome cover. This is the most wholesome cover I've seen of it. It's Gajeel building a crib out of metal with Levi, which it's gonna be rough. I assume there will be a bed in there, but it's just like raw metal. It's gonna come out like Dragon Slayer from birth, and I guess maybe it'll all work out for him. I still wonder how that works though, because Urza didn't get any Dragon Slayer traits, so I assume no. But still, like, just raw metal, and Levi's just I wonder if Levi could use magic to alter it with solid script. Either way, dude, solid metal crib is gonna be pretty well. Okay, they come out of Misaki's dimension. Urza still receives the damage. I think that's actually really surprising. Wendy shows up. So Wendy saves her in that scenario. Wendy prevents that damage from showing up. So where's Misaki? Misaki is still on the ground. It has the shadow over her eyes, so I still don't know if she's... And her shirt is slightly damaged. We see some of her cleavage. So that's at least a damage sign. But again, I don't think she's defeated. So I'm still on the same page. I'm not going to turn it yet. So we have Gray talking about something. Carla's talking as well. Gajeel's like having a conversation with Panther Lily. We see Wendy looking over at Misaki. Okay, so Misaki, like, way off in the panel like that, it just tells me, it makes me feel like that she's not fully defeated. Because it's not a focused one, kind of like that we've seen, obviously, when other characters have dropped, kind of like Kyria recently. So again, it'll be so weird if Mishima just throws her off. So let's see. Oh, Haku wakes up. That's actually pretty cool. Haku wakes up for a moment. Oh, he's like hugging Wendy, doing something goofy, and then Godchill punches him and knocks him out again. Haku, dang, I was hoping Haku would get a serious moment and kind of get up again. Well, we see Virgo with Lucy walking, coming with Laxus, Natsu and Suzaku. They're going down the labyrinth, having a conversation. Maybe, I think Natsu's talking about like some of his plans with Ignia. So we see Ignia. Ignia has found... Dang, Ignia's already found out, so it was that easy for him. He just kind of, like, walked through. Okay, Selena's shown up to attack him. So, okay, is Misaki... Like, I'm so confused with Misaki right now. Because, like, it doesn't feel like she's even, like, defeated. It feels so ominous and kind of vague with her. Right now, I guess it's, like, it's implied that she's done, but, like, I'm just not too sure. It feels really weird. Like, the only other way is, like, if Mishima really just said, like, I don't really want to do anything with her, I'm just going to skip right over to this fight. So Selene teleports right there to attack Ignia, and they clash. Okay, there's just, like, a straight hand-to-hand clash. Ignia still has the heart. What is he trying to do? Oh, he just straight sets it on fire. Ignia is such... God damn it. Ignia is going to completely ruin my entire want to know of what Selene's plan was. So Eleftheria shows up. Is Eleftheria dead now then? But we're never going to get to see Eleftheria fight then. I want to know what a fucking Law Dragon does in combat. Like, I thought he would just, like, kind of, like, cast, like, large-scale spells. That was my big hopes for Eleftheria, but is he just dead now? Selene looks mad. Okay, Selene... Oh, my God. This is a fucking sick panel. Hang on. I'm going to change this midstream. Hang on. I'm gonna change this midstream. This is a fucking sick... This is what I was hoping for so bad for this fight. I thought we were gonna get, like, some short span of time of them in their human forms, but I guess it makes complete sense for them to just go full fucking dragon, considering, like, their human form is something they do for fun, whereas these are two dragon gods clashing. But, like, at the raw core of it, this is two dragons in a fight. So hang on, I am going to update this panel midstream. I'm going to do this for not only myself, not only for you guys, but for Twitter and for the fandom immediately. I have to do this because this is one of the fucking best panels I've seen in the series in a while. This is raw hype. Hang on. Give me a couple seconds. I'll post this on the stream before I post it on Twitter, since you guys are here before they are. Or you guys are here at my stream. I mean, if somebody posts it before me, whatever, but at least for you guys, I will post it for you guys before I post it to anybody else. We will put it on stream and I will get it set up. This is a fucking sick panel. I thought I would have to wait like a couple. I was literally doing the math in my head. I was like, okay, if the Misaki and Ursa fight goes one more chapter, maybe we'll have like one kind of calm before the storm. We'll get one chapter where it's like, oh, them and their human forms fighting. But no, these two just said like, fuck it, we're just gonna go at it. This is raw combat. This is like a battle between two fucking giants. Oh my god, hang on. This has made my days so much more hype. Hang on a second. I'm gonna replace the Misaki panel because we don't need the Misaki panel anymore. Misaki's status can be unknown and left for a while. I'm fine with waiting, and if she's done, I guess whatever. But oh my god, look at this panel. Look at this glorious panel. Look at this. Look at these two fucking monsters going at it. What's gonna happen between these? Okay, so the chapter, like, literally ends next panel, and Natsu and Suzaku see the two dragons, like, literally about to face off and saying stuff to each other. I would leave. I say, we need to fucking move. Like, this is not somewhere where we want to be. This is a bad time. This is going to get us completely in a no-win scenario. Like, if it was one of them, I think it would work. But, like, Natsu and Suzaku in their mind, I think versus one of them, sure. Both of them in the crossfire they're about to fucking be at. Also, I get Ignea's hair now. Ignea's hair looks so fucking cool. Like, on fire like that, the way that it's flowing. He looks so monstrous. This is about to be so hype. Just these two powering up and, like, just, like, getting ready to roar at each other. What? Oh my god. Yeah, but I hope, Shikuda survives that, it's really cool. All the fights are way too short. Also, it's like, the fight with Kiria and Lucy was really good. The fight with Wendy, the problem was that Haku didn't take her too seriously because he has a crush on her. It wasn't like supposed to be a fight where he was going to go all out. He even said he wasn't trying to hurt her. So it's like you have to. Obviously, we didn't get to see the full extent of him, but in context of the fight, he was holding back immensely. Whereas it was because of that, Wendy was able to show like some of her untapped potential, kind of like scenario fight instead. And with the Laxus and Kieran fight, it wasn't supposed to be a focus fight. It was to be a setup fight, obviously to set up the rivalry between them and Kieran's interest in Laxus, so they can have more of a match later. And it's obviously going to be the question is how is Laxus going to beat him. But with Masaki and Urza, like it's just weird to me because it feels like if Masaki is defeated, like actually done, Mishima's just gonna skip over like pretty much everything with her character because he hasn't really done anything with her. He only really showed her abilities. So I think it'd just be really strange because he hasn't done that with any other Dragoneer. He's given every other Dragoneer a level of degree, like he gave them all some content of stuff in the story, something that they all have. The only one that really hasn't gotten much yet is like you can look at kind of like Mad Mole pretty much, because Skulling-On got the whole fight with Gray, and he got like the fight with Mira Jane, and obviously it was way more focused on him than it was with Mad Mole. But like Mad Mole's had like some more like funny moments. We've seen more of him just as like a goofy character, whereas like Masaki will have had nothing but combat, which would be really weird. And like the way that she was even presented in this chapter was really odd. It was just kind of really vague of the situation, and it wasn't really focused because obviously the big focus was this fight. So maybe it's going to be one of those things where it's like we get back to it later and Masaki's fine or Masaki's defeated. I don't know. Masaki will definitely be like the most unfortunate Dragon Eater. Like if she's just defeated and that's it, and Mishima has no plans for her character. Because like I said, he's given all of them something. Nibaru got Dragon Force. Like Nibaru, who we haven't seen him since. He's pretty much he was like Gollum who turned into Venom, and we haven't seen anything really of him since, but like he got to show us and give us lore. He gave us story importance. He gave us information on the abilities. Well, Wraith had the whole stuff back with Fairy Tail. There's a lot of like stuff with like Kiri obviously with Laxus and with the whole fight she just had, a really good fight with Lucy, and that I still think Skulling-On has gotten a better degree of pretty much everything because he's gotten some character stuff. He's had a fight where he's won. Obviously, like, Gray got caught in something, but it was still a fight that counted as a Skulling-On win. And, like, Mad Mole's had more fun things. So Misaki will have just had fights. Just in terms of, like, she's only shown combat. It'll be really weird. That's really just kind of like my stance around that right now. If she is defeated, I guess that would just kind of suck. A Metal Bed, yeah, like, I would hope that they're going to put, like, something really comfortable on there. Like, what's going to happen if that baby falls over? I don't know. I guess it's an anime baby, so it's probably not. It's gonna be fine. I think Iggy would win against Lane. Just how powerful they feel. Well, they're equal. It's really gonna come down to like what can he do, like at his extent. Because Selene has all her portals and her abilities to affect the moon. But I guess we're gonna see what she can fully do in her dragon form. And I'm really hoping that we get just like. I'm hoping it's kind of formatted how the Suzaku fight was, or not the Suzaku fight, how the Selene versus Suzaku fight was, where it's like it's elongated throughout like the events, kind of like how the Ignil and Aknologia fight was, where we see it going and we see like focus like chapter, and then like the next chapter we get like half a chapter of it, and then we see the other characters starting to set up more fights and see what they're doing and see what's going on with them, and then we get like a chunk of a chapter as we're going and like half a chapter as we're going of this fight, so it's like a longer fight. Or we could just have this as like a big focus massive battle. Like I'm perfectly okay with either or. As long as this gets some really cool scenes, I'm gonna be happy. Like, we already got like the perfect setup for dragons about to clash. But like, yeah, this is a fucking sick panel. I love this panel. This is probably one of my favorite panels in 100 Years Quest. Shuma just went full hype with it. Yeah, dude, they decided just to say like, here, we'll just leave Misaki. We'll just set Misaki down. We'll pick back up and figure out what's going on over here later. We're just gonna please the fans and give into hype right now. I figured we would have more like setup, and we're gonna kind of wait more before we get into hype. In my head, like we're at 106. I thought we would start at like the fight at 108, and then maybe like 109 to 110 we would get to the fight like as full dragons. But I guess now we're just going all in. I think that's one of the fun things about like not getting the chapter title of the next chapter in the spoilers, because we used like you can get that with other series sometimes with like Shonen Magazine. Well, like we used to get that with Fairy Tail all the time. We don't get that anymore. We get that with Eden Zero, and you're able obviously to get an idea of the next chapter. But like, if there was anything in this week's title that hints to this would have been such a like 2-week hype wait up. Like, this is gonna be crazy. I love how Ignea's horns also that black kind of coating goes over the first set. He looks so fucking sick. Where's his middle horn? I wonder if it's just because it's the side view you can't see it. Oh, this is gonna be so cool. I want to know like what can Ignea do at his caliber of fire dragon? Like, is he gonna burn, like, is he gonna set the whole sky on fire? Is he gonna just, like, is the land gonna be melting and turning into lava just from him being within the vicinity? Like, what's gonna happen to the other characters? They have to leave. I feel like maybe that's gonna be the thing. Maybe that's the thing with Misaki. Hey, let me make a quick theory. Misaki is defeated, similar to Haku, where it's because she underestimated her opponent and got caught into something, and that just happens sometimes. Like, if Urza logically, with how her ability worked, it's just one of those things where I'm in my most rounded armor, Armed Earth Fairy is Urza's most full rounded armor in all stats, and she just enchanted her sword. She was given the time to enchant her sword with a celestial, with heavenly body magic rather, and made it way more powerful. And on top of that, Misaki didn't really do a ton of dodging because she was like completely like in shock of the dimension being altered from Urza's power. So she might have just gotten caught in it. Maybe it's one of those things, and she's not gonna want Misaki to die, and it's gonna be similar to Haku and why Haku got knocked back out. And they're going to take all of the unconscious people, similar to why they have Kiria, and they're going to grab Madmol and Skullion and get everybody out of the labyrinth. And because like the thing fully, and it's why I've been completely fine with no deaths in any of the Dragon Slayer fights, is because they've been it's been a misunderstanding entirely. That's been the entire thing. That, like, it'd be really weird if we got to the point where it's like, oh, our guilds have only been fighting because we thought we were, because of pretty much Kiria just immediately attacking them. Like, we know from Suzaku that the only reason that they're aggressive towards Fairy Tail is because they think that Fairy Tail attacked them, and it's really just because fucking Kiria. And we know Kiria just immediately attacks people whenever she's ready for a fight. So it'd be really weird if after they get to the point where they become allies, if it's because I feel like, again, that logically is why Natsu and Suzaku are grouped up, that they, I just realized I never even sent out the stream. Let me send out the stream really quick, and then I'll get back to the comments, but it would make sense later that once they realize that they're not actually enemies, that's just because of, like, Kiria's dumbass, that they now can become allies, especially now that they have a reason to become allies against Selene. and you could it'd just be really weird afterwards, like, oh yeah, and then we killed one of your members and stuff. That would be really weird, because we know that Suzaku would be really upset. Oh, there's gonna be a part where my voice echoes. That's gonna be really annoying. Let me send this out really quick, and then I will get back to the comments. And I still also want to read the Four Knights in the Eden Zero chapter, because I know relatively what happens in the Eden Zero chapter, only a little bit, but I don't know the entirety of the fairy, or not the fairy tale chapter, Wind Fairy chapter, of the Four Knights chapter. One second. Let me send this out. Okay. Alright, let me get some more of these comments. Get them, do we continue the Misaki fight? Kind of pointless. I don't think it's pointless. It would just be really weird depending on how he does it. If he does it similar to how the Suzaku and Selene fight was set up, or again, Acnologia and Igneo fight, where we see, where it's like, I'm stumbling on my words. It's intently shown that it's a longer fight than most in the series. If we have multiple fights happening in between just parts where they're in continuous combat, that would obviously bolster up the fight with dragons. I think that would make sense, because we could have scenes like that where it's just like a chapter where it's, like 15, 16 pages on one scene, or relatively on like one aspect, like maybe the characters are treating, we get like lore and information, and then we get like 3 pages on the fight. We get maybe the Laxus and Kieran fight kind of backed up, because that's right now I feel like with context, even if everybody's given context to the situation, the only 2 that are going to want to fight still are, like, straight want combat still, are Kieran, because Kieran, I think, would just want to fight Laxus again. I feel like Laxus would want to fight him again, too. I feel like they logically would just kind of have that rivalry between each other. Whereas Misaki, I think Misaki would want to fight Urza again to beat her. I feel like she logically, with how her character has been depicted, would want to try and one-up her again and like try and get back a fight. And I think that'd be really cool. I think a fight again with them where Urza loses and then they have like a rematch, and it's like at this point where during the rematch they have a mutual respect. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be sick, like a Minerva done in like a better way, where it wasn't done in like a sadder sense. You sound like you're really excited. Yeah, I was hyped. I was super hyped, because I like I said, I planned stuff out like relatively where I think we're gonna get timeline wise, and I thought we wouldn't get this until like end of May, like June area, like once we get in their dragon forms. And this was like what I was hoping we would get, is I really wanted a double spread of just them posing up in just dragon form, ready to just go at each other. Like this is just super hype. I'm hoping that we get I'm really hoping the next chapter that we just get like some big crazy displays of like what they can do. I want to see what they can do when they're actually fighting, because we know neither of them have actually fought. Selene has not actually fought. Selene, even in her fight with Suzaku, was in her human form, a way nerfed version of herself that she chooses for fun. Godzilla is a good dad. Godzilla is factually a good dad. Godzilla is currently one of the best anime dads we have seen. He's gone out of his way to do everything he can to prepare for his kids. He is one of the top anime dads. Where did I read it? I get it off the app that you get from Japan. I can link it in the if you join my Discord, here's what I'll do. If you join my Discord, I will later link it in my Discord. Each chapter is like 70 cents, and it'll link up if you have like Google Play or whatever, or what is it? Google Pay. Fuck, why did I say Google Pay? Through like their market or like whatever the fuck you download it through, because it'll like give you different kind of options. Let me post a link, and then I'll post it later, and then if you want to get it, you can download chapters. It's every Four Nights in Eden Zero is every week, and then 100 Years Quest is every 2 weeks. And like I said, each chapter it's like 70 cents or something. I think actually it's a little cheaper now. Or can you read the? You have to get it off the app. And like I said, I'll post it. I'll post the link in there, or somebody will post the full chapter later. I don't post the full chapters. I usually don't even post I don't even put a panel in my stream until later. But this one was just full hype, and I wanted to show people. This was just super hype. How am I doing? I'm doing all right. I mean, I guess I'm doing better now. This was a fucking sick chapter. I like stupid characters in Fairy Tail always bring something good. Zenkro with God Slaying. I mean, Zenkro wasn't stupid. He was cool. Like, Zenkro just got, like, the shaft for no reason. I get logically, in context of the events, why it happened. But, like, why did Mishima put him in that scenario? Like, anybody in that scenario was gonna die from them. Why did he pick him? Why didn't he pick, like, the fucking Kawazu and Yamazu? Why didn't he pick those dudes? We don't give a shit about those guys. Zenkro is cool. I wish I could draw so I could do a fan fiction idea of, like, if Zenkro lived and, like, after the time skip he was way stronger than Natsu, but it's like 100 years, like maybe Tartaros arc Natsu is way closer, but we see Natsu fight him, and like Alvarez and Natsu's way stronger. Like, imagine if it was Zenkro like 8 years after he's like Genma sized, he's got a fucking beard, he's this badass Black Flame Godslayer, and we see Natsu demolish him. Like, what if he was over in Alvarez? Like, what if he was somebody over there? And, like, he just worked and he eventually, like, joined up with Zeref. That would have been so cool. Like, it would have been so badass. And maybe his goal was to destroy Ankh Saram, and, like, he became more dedicated to Zeref. Like, he had so much potential that never got realized. And that was, like, the thing with Zenkro. Like, it's kind of like God Serena, but I think Zenkro would have been so much cooler because, like, he fought Natsu and he could have been that rival. There's, like, I gotta do a video at some point on the weird nature of antagonist rivals to Natsu in the series, because like the Mishima's done it so many times and he's finally like sticking to it with Ignia, and it's so weird. It's like a fever dream. It's one of the reasons like 100 Years Quest to me feels like it feels like amazing fan fiction. Like, there's so many highlighted points that like a fan would be like, man, I wish you would do this. Like, if we had like a random side chapter where we got like information on Ivan, or like some of those random plot points, like that was one of the things I wanted Eleftheria. I wanted Eleftheria as a law dragon to be able just to be like, use abilities like Abyss Break, Ars Magia, maybe uses stuff like the Dragon Cry, just starts using, like, Aetherion, just starts using, like, the large-scale spells. What if, like, he made, like, an array of Jupiters? Like, it's just, like, a complete thing of him just showing abilities we never got to fully see, but we see them now. And it's just, like, them getting, like, you know, whatever a character is fighting, maybe Natsu fighting him or somebody. I'm gonna be so bummed out if Eleftheria is like, dead. Because, like, I was interested in what his character could hold for the future, but, like, not even, like, not, like, in terms of, like, large-scale plot. Like, I wanted to see him fight once. I wanted to see what a Law Dragon did, and I wanted to know more, like, I wanted more information and stuff from him. Why Ignia killed him, though, is, like, a big mystery. Like, if that's what he did, like, why did he burn the heart? What is he trying to do? What is he trying to prevent here? And, like, Selene definitely, like, why did she not, like, try and teleport the heart? Why didn't she go for attacking him? Like, that was definitely irrational on her part. We know for a fact when and we saw her eye. One thing I'll say real quick. I gotta set myself before I have to give some fairness to Selene's mistake. It's both Selene. Yeah, Selene definitely made an error, but we've seen when her eyes look like that, when they're kind of looking a little warped, that she's being irrational. Like, she's just acting on emotion, and she's kind of just being impulsive, like aggressively impulsive. So I will say that's like one of the things consistently we have seen about her, but she should have, instead of like going to attack Ignia, she should have just went to teleport the heart right in her hand and then moved. That's what she should have done. But I feel like also, like, maybe it's like a dragon thing. I don't know. Because, like, Ignia was definitely smarter on that one. Maybe it's because he's younger and he focused more on objective and not on directly, like, confrontation. He knows like the bigger thing is better. The bigger picture is probably a better thing for like whatever his plan is. Maybe that might be some points to Ignia actually as well. Because Ignia so far has not done anything that messes up like logic with like what he wants to do. Because I remember when like before when he showed up in chapter 100, when people were like speculating what's gonna happen in 101, people were saying like, oh, he's gonna kill Suzaku, or like Suzaku's gonna fight him, he's gonna kill him. It's like, why would he do that though? Like clearly Suzaku is pushing Natsu. Why would he want to prevent Natsu from getting stronger? Like that's his whole goal. He's not doing anything, I think, illogical with what he's doing. Also, one thing that I'm very happy about is in this panel, Mishima drew them with no pupils. Like it's such night and day when you see like the dragons with the pupils. It's so much cooler when you don't have the pupils and you just see the whited eyes, and oh man, it looks so badass. I really wish, like, I was wondering when Igni was going to show up and fight a dragon. I knew there was no way it was going to happen, but I was like, what if he showed up and fought Alderaan? I still really have wanted to see, like, one of them fight Alderaan. Just to see, like, how to, like, would they be able to hit Alderaan and he'd, like, just straight move, like, his full body? I think that'd be really, really interesting to see. Like, logically they could, but it's like, it would just be, like, hype to see, like, somebody moving that massive and so I'm fumbling over my words because I'm just so hyped over, like, looking at this panel and looking at like knowing what's going to happen in the next chapter. Because even if the chapter is not 100% this fight, we're going to open with this fight. Logically, we're going to open with this fight for like a half of the chapter at least, I'd say, and get to what's going on with it. But otherwise, I would say that see, I lost my train of thought. That's why I shouldn't have stopped myself. Anyway, let me get some of the comments. 100 Years Quest, the whole 100 Years Quest feels for us. Not really. It's depending. It's one of those things where I feel like Mishima is just setting something up. With Misaki, it definitely does feel a little bit. It does feel a little bit rushed, but it depends on what like the context is. If Misaki is just done and we're not seeing anything of her, and it's just one of those things where it feels like it, kind of like Brandish. When Brandish got knocked out after her, she was allergic to the pollen. Like, that was how a lot of people felt with her character, because we only had a handful of stuff with her, and it's like we didn't even see her fight, and she got beat in like a goofy way. A lot of people felt like that way about Brandish. If Misaki does go that way, I will agree that she'll definitely be like a character that feels a little thrown away, and again, very oddly, because he hasn't done that with any other Dragon Eater. But the other stuff, I don't agree. The Kiria fight I thought was really well. The Haku fight, again, similar to the Lactus fight, there's context to it that you have to look at. The Lactus and Kirin fight wasn't a focus fight. It was just to set up the stuff between them. That's why they got separated, whereas some of the other fights were outright finished. Whereas Wendy's was finished, but Wendy with context, we know what didn't outright beat Haku. Haku wasn't fighting seriously, but the fight was more over Wendy's untapped potential, similar to what we saw with Irene when she took her body in Alvarez. Do you think everybody in Fairy Tail would react not to having a brother that's one of their dragon gods? I don't think that would be that much of a deal. I feel like the stuff with, like, the obvious Zero stuff would be more of a shocking thing. The stuff with Ignia would be more of, like, I'd be surprised, but that's not, like, a world-shocking event. Like, Ignia's just, like, because to most people, like, think about, like, the idea of, like, knowledge of Ignia. To pretty much anybody who knows about Ignia, all they know is he's just this absurdly powerful dragon. Like, he's not any, like, absurd lore character. He doesn't have anything right now that, like, ties him to any major events in the large-scale story. He's more of, like, a current events character, at least as of right now. There's nothing that kind of, like, would really shock, I think, most people. Because obviously, also, most people don't even know who Ignia is. Most people don't even know he exists. What was your reveal? Oh, wait, we did actually. I scrolled up and I can see people talking about, like, oh, hopefully we see reveal Selene or Ignia next chapter instead. We got that fight now. Why do you think the Dark Dragon Center to defeat so easily? Oh, I didn't answer this. Suzaku wasn't defeated by Natsu. Kirin wasn't defeated. Misaki's is kind of, Misaki's is a little weird and vague right now. It seems like she's defeated, but also I think that it's kind of, like, implied she's not. Again, it's really weird. Kiria was defeated, but she's not Dark Dragon Starlight. Obviously, he said that Dark Dragon Starlight. And Haku, again, with context, Haku only lost because he pretty much was fighting Wendy. It's kind of like Bacchus versus Elfman. In a fight of Bacchus fighting a character that slow in comparison to him, he's gonna clap him. The only reason that that Elfman won is because the way that Elfman appealed to him was how their characters interacted on a personality level, because that's a massive factor, and why, like, when you do like versus stuff, in character and out of character are big factors. Because, like, think of a character. Here's a good character, Kumagawa from Medica Box. His power is to make things fictional. So one thing he can do is he can just erase people. And if you don't have something that prevents his from stopping his soul or his actions, like say you killed him and his soul went to the afterlife, he can make his death fictional. As long as he has a way to use his ability, he can undo his death. So, like, unless you have something that erases his being, cancels his power, completely immobilizes him so he couldn't use his ability, you can't really beat him, and he has a way to one-shot you. But because of context and series, and it's like a gag-ish series, he logically, as an antagonistic character, can't win. So if you bring up he's winning, he'll immediately just pass out and lose. So if you do that with a character like him, he is just going to, you can beat him. Whereas, like, out of character, that's not going to work. So if you take Elfman and Bacchus and take him out of character, Elfman is not going to win. Elfman was absolutely going to lose that fight. But because of how their characters interacted, similar to how Haku and Wendy's characters interacted, that's how Wendy was able to win. Also, Wendy's, again, latent potential thing, but a big thing was we know Haku was not trying to actually hurt her. He's not trying to really do anything serious to her. Like, oh god, this real bad guy moment, something like Manju. I don't want that. It sounds cool. It depends on the context. I will say, if there's a reason, we had, like, the bad guy Gajil in Drasil, but I get what you mean, and obviously it's not the same thing. But I will say, like, it depends on the context. Maybe, like, if that's in a Viernes arc, and, like, Viernes does something to mind control him, and we have something kind of like a Majin Vegeta situation, maybe he can mind control metal dragons, and it goes to goes to Gajil, and we see something like that. I don't really know. Like, I think that would be a really cool thing, if there's enough logic behind it. But, like, I don't want it to be like Majin Vegeta, where, like, he wants the power. I don't want Gajil to be, like, put in a spot where he's fine and somebody, like, offers him, like, power, but he's gonna become, like, evil and a bad guy and, like, starts attacking someone. I don't want that. If Gajil becomes similar to a Majin Vegeta, I want it to be against his will. I don't think Gajil would have one of those moments where he would be like, I want to go back to the way I was. Kind of like, that was one of the things with Vegeta, right? Like, he still kind of, like, missed his old life a little bit, and that was one of the things that kind of messed with him and triggered that aspect. I don't remember 100% like the chapter, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember him having that kind of missed life. Like, he was a little nostalgic of his old life. Yeah, and we already had, like, a thing where Gajil kind of thought back to his older life and, like, really, like, preferred where he's at now. And Gajil, again, way more than most characters in anime, is very, very happy and very hardworking towards his future children. He's going hard in all work to provide and, like, get funds and get stuff set. Like, look at him, He's doing house construction. He's doing everything to earn money. And as far as we know, I'm going to say, like, we have not seen Levi go on one quest. We've not seen Levi and play one quest, and logically, why would she? I don't think Gajil would want that. I don't think Gajil would want her out doing anything strenuous or really overworking herself and putting herself in any danger. That would make a lot of sense. That's why he's probably overworking. But I think that's very respectable of Gajil to, like, as we've seen in that X chapter, he's just working pretty much himself to exhaustion. He just comes out and passes out, and he's, like, constantly covered in like, battle wounds and stuff he's recovering from. That's done a lot for Gajil's character. That's, like, similar to Gray and what I've said with Gajil, that both of them have had excellent character content in 100 Years Quest, but they haven't had a lot of stuff for feats, like combat, like verse stuff, like anything in terms of like their moveset, their power levels and abilities, they haven't had nearly as much as a lot of the other characters, which is fine. Like, my only worry is them falling out of relevancy. Like, Gray, I don't think Gray has to worry about it as much, but Godjill, I think, has a little bit of that rock area, and that's why I was very happy to see Godjill in this arc. And that's why, like, it'll be weird if Godjill doesn't get that fight this arc, because Kieran and Laxus has to obviously happen, and some of the fights I feel like have to happen. I feel like, my guess is the Acnologia and Igneel scenario, where we're going to get a lot of fights while this fight is going on, and we're going to see multiple scenes while these other fights are going on. Because, again, I don't think it makes sense to also skip over a lot of these fights. Like, Kieran and Laxus, again, wouldn't make sense to skip over. And to do nothing with Godjill, I think, would just suck. I think Godjill just being here, like, if it's done in a way where Godjill, it's an excuse to get Godjill into the scenario, then Mishima needs to just do it with the other characters. Bring in anybody else he wants to bring. But Godjill, I think, Godjill really needs to get something. And the unfortunate thing will be if Godjill's just sitting here for a while doing nothing until, another arc. I just want him to get, like, a fight. Maybe he'll just battle Mad Mole. I think logically, this is what I want. I want opening chapter 107. I want half a chapter of these two fighting, Selene and Ignia fighting, half the chapter. Then we get multiple more setups. We get Laxus versus Kieran rematch. Maybe at the end of the chapter, we get Misaki getting back up. Mad Mole, like if the characters are getting them out of there, I want that to either be a thing that we see pretty quickly. But I think if the characters are going to get back up and get some fights, I think we need to get that also immediately. I don't want the content of, like, what they're going to do with the other characters and the status of their characters to be dragged on. I don't want that to happen because I don't want these characters to sit in limbo. I don't want them just to be completely unknown. Because, like, what if they leave and we see, like, later certain characters are out but certain characters aren't? And we, like, well, what happened? It's like, here, I'll give a scenario. Here's the thing. So, I'll give two scenarios. One is, I'll use one actually for it's easier. Way easier to use instead, because I don't want to give Bleach spoilers, because the anime is coming up 1,000 Year Blood War. I don't want to ruin any anime onlys. But, with this, because this is way older, Ikaruga in the Tower of Heaven. We had no idea what happened to her. We don't know exactly if she died from Urza or if she died from Etherion, but we didn't know if she died entirely up until, obviously, with Nineheart confirmed she was dead. With such a question throughout the series, her status, it was weird. Her and all of Trinity Raven, all of her crew, like, we got confirmation, obviously, that at that point, it's like, yeah, those guys are dead, but it was one of those limbo things, because, like, Jalal lived. What happened to these other guys? Where are they at? If like, say, like, they just get multiple members of Diablos out, like the Dark Dragon Slayer Knights and stuff, and Kyria, and they don't get out, like, Skullion, Mad Mole, and the whole fight with Selene and Ignia goes crazy, and it's like, well, did they die in the crossfire? What happened to them? Where are they? What's their status? What happened to these characters? And I think that's the thing about them that would be really weird. I'm hoping, my biggest hope, I'm hoping either they bring them out immediately, pick them up, grab people, move them, and bring them all out, so, like, hopefully Diablos and Fairy Tail can kind of put their difference aside and be allies. But my biggest hope is half the chapter, Selene and Ignia. Other half the chapter, setting up fights. I want Misaki back on her feet. I want Skullion and Mad Mole and Haku to get back up. Maybe not Haku. I think Haku's fine. Like, I think if we get, like, Urza and Wendy against Misaki, but maybe Wendy just kind of does some healing and stuff, but maybe Wendy can't fully fight yet or something kind of thing. Because Wendy just have, like, a full all-in fight, so, like, if Wendy can't fully really do a whole lot right now, I'd be fine with. But say we get back to the Urza and Misaki fight, and then we get Godjill, Mad Mole, Gray Skullion situation, and we get kind of like some of those fights kind of more setting up, and Kieran and Laxus get set up, and we get to those while we get this fight. I think that would be like the best case scenario, because again, I really want Godshield to get something. Like I'll be so upset if I have to wait like another arc for Godshield to do something. Godshield's just kind of on standby mode. I think that'll just like, it's not like it won't ruin the arc for me. It'll just, the whole Dogromag Labyrinth will just feel really short, and I was really hoping to find out some more about Dogromag, but I want to know if like we're gonna get any more Dogromag lore, even possible. If we're not gonna have anything from we're not gonna have anything from LF Seri anymore. Like, what's gonna be the status of that? Because like his heart was destroyed, but he said he grew a new heart, or is he just kind of unconscious? Because like his dragon body would just grow a new heart. Like, how is that gonna work? The Eden Zero chapter's out. I know the Eden Zero chapter comes out. They all come out at the same time. Let me read some more of the comments. What am I showing here? What happened to Misaki? Well, right now it looks like Misaki's defeated, but I think it's really vague. I think it's kind of left off on like one of those things where it's like she could get back up, but we don't really see much of her in the chapter. That's one of the things I think is weird, because it's not like Kiria, where we see Kiria's eyes whited out, fully done, just defeated. Like, we don't see Misaki's eyes. She's barely in any panels. It's left kind of weird, and that's where I'm like, and I want to know, like, is Mishima throwing her away? Is it like one of those things where he's just kind of leaving it a little ominous so we can get back to it later? I'm fine with waiting right now because we got this panel. Normally I would be a little mad, but I'm fine with waiting because this panel is like extreme heat. Like, this is gonna be super badass. Was Zankro still alive in Tartarus arc? No, that was a fake made by Rusty Rose. I can see Zankro and Demario. Well, Zankro is dead. Demario is alive. Literally everyone could be at Zankro position to zoom Rusty Rose. Wait, dude, what are you talking about? Ignia could clap her. I don't think Ignia can clap her. I can see Law Dragon Slayer magic. I mean, the thing Zeref got from God was Law. No, it wasn't. That's not how it works. The curse of contradiction isn't a law thing. The way that Law Dragons worked, at least from how he implied it, is they had the ability to just find information. Like, you would be able to, like, if you knew a spell, you would probably, like, say you were a Law Dragon Slayer magic and you heard of Jupiter, you would be able to, like, from at least what's implied, concentrate, use your ability to find out how to use it, and then cast the spell. At least from what I could tell, a Law Dragon was, like, essentially a way to download spells. I wonder, like, if you could just free roam spells, or you had to have some form of information to find out, like, the secret. Like, some kind of like something to go off of, or you could just kind of free roam knowledge. Omar Quan Bros. Quan is a Fairy Tail hater, I know. He's always downplaying. The whole final 100 Years quest is basically going to be a fight between Igni and Natsu. I don't think that's going to be the case. My guess is there's going to be a fight beyond them, but that's going to be the big emotional fight. I think there's going to be a fight, something bigger. Because I just feel like Mishima's going to have some larger mega scale thing that he's going to have planned out. Just because that just feels like a Mishima thing to do. That feels like a Mishima thing to do. And here's the fact. We could get the 7th Dragon God now because you have a 6th Dragon God. I thought maybe it was going to be LF Saria, or it's going to be like something that he was planning, but maybe he's just nope and he's just dead. And we could get something more akin to Natsu just becoming the 7th one once he gets to that level, because logically Natsu has to get to Dragon God level. He's the only character that logically should be at 1v1 Dragon God level by the end of the story. Maybe it will be Ignia, but I feel like Mishima is going to put up somebody like just one of those bigger foes. Like, it might, unless he wants to do Ankh-Saram later, because Ankh-Saram is logically right now endgame. He is logically the biggest person they're going to have to fight. Curious how strong Bloodlust Haku. That's what I want to see. Haku is like, it's not the same thing as Ichiya, but it's like, we only have seen him like Ichiya, where it's like, we've only seen the goofier side to him. I want to see him serious. Like, we've only seen him get a little bit serious, but like it was only in like it seemed like he just wanted to show off against Wendy. He wasn't really trying to do much to actually fight her. Thing is, Majin Vegeta was that he was mind controlled, but I get like it was like a degree of mind control, but didn't he like want the power in the first place to get stronger? I don't remember the full context. I will admit I don't remember the full context of when he went and talked to Babidi, but I remember vaguely the whole point where it's like he was kind of like reflecting off of his old life and his current life, kind of like living as a human. And I remember he was like a little bit like wanting his old life, and that was kind of like the trigger to it. Vaguely, I might be wrong. But really, moment when Jalal returned Nirvana was one of my favorites. Yeah, Jalal's definitely one of my favorite characters. Amasaki, I don't think we should fight now, but she's bad condition right now. Maybe after she fight with Celine, for our team, we'll go to the next round. Maybe. Again, we don't need the heart. Basically said there's a magic mask that replaces his heart. But it's like he was shown like unconscious and his eyes went out. So it's like, is he dead? But like, is like the thing is like, is his body able to do that because his heart is living somewhere else? How does that work? Like, what's the whole like thing that's kind of going on here? Like it's a big obvious kind of like question mark with right now, and we know that there's also like this the secret of the Dogramag Labyrinth Celine was talking about, unless like the secret is the heart. But it's like, well, what is like Mishima gonna like? Was the heart like just this crazy OP thing, literally just to lure Ignia in, like and set up Celine Ignia? I'm fine with that too. I'm not gonna complain about that. But Sirius, how strong? But how strong is Sirius Ichiya? Ichiya is about Wizard Saint level. Ichiya factually is about Wizard Saint level. We know Ichiya was S class in Nirvana. He had the 7-year time skip. He wasn't hindered. He got stronger. And we know from feats he beat Bacchus. Urza found him like he was actually a serious threat. He was able to match Freed, who Freed has always been extremely powerful, on one of the more powerful robots from Wall. Ichiya Sirius has good feats. The problem with Ichiya is hard to make a serious fighter. That's the downside of Ichiya. And the thing about Ichiya is Ichiya's hacks are actually really dangerous because the way his magic works, he's making the smells. So like regardless of power, like probably not like regardless of power level gap in full, but it does cover power level gap, is if you smell it because it works through the scent. Because he's pretty much an alchemist, but instead of potions, he's making smells. It's still going to affect you. We saw that when it worked on Jura, because the Gemini Ichiya was equal to Ichiya. So that version of Ichiya being able to affect Jura, who is obviously, we know, way more powerful than him, and it was Ichiya in base, shows that he can affect, obviously, higher levels. But like things like the Rock Dragon from the Grand Magic Games, and things like Wall, who are robots, doesn't affect it. But if you have a nose, it does affect you. So, like, but in terms of, like, actual stats, he's about Wizard Saint level. Like, he's at solid Wizard Saint level feats. But, like, the thing is, like, Ichiya in base, if you can just one-shot him most of the time before he gets serious, which isn't that hard, because he has to be, like, you have to get him to be serious. He's usually just super goofy. Think A&E could appear this arc? Maybe. I that's what I was hoping for, because that's the only thing right now I feel like that could stop these two fighting, and have, like, but then they would have to team up against him at that point. But then it's like, well, what is Suzaku going to do at that point? What is Suzaku just going to move? He doesn't need that heart. Yeah, or this one. Speaking of anchor position, I mean, as dying for surf. Yeah, anybody who went up there. Rusty Rose could have died too. Kane and Karu could have died. I feel like Rusty Rose could have been an easy trade-off. Because the thing about Rusty Rose versus Zankro is Rusty Rose not being a big threat now is weird. The only thing that logically I think that Mishima went down that road is he became like an emotional wreck, which I think makes sense with his character, the way that he was set up. And like, he could have gone down a bunch of avenues. That kind of bad ending is the only way I think Mishima could have gone with him after that, giving him the Arc of Imagination, because it's too powerful for most scenarios. It's like August. He had to kill August because in most scenarios in the series, either August is gonna get clapped or beat, or he's gonna clap somebody. You aren't gonna have like many equals to him, and it's just a dangerous time to have around. Like it's good when you have like ones in context that set it up. August, obviously, we don't talk. It's a little rushed, but with say, but like in this scenario, I keep this in my fucking train of thought. Where was I going with this? Oh, sorry. In this scenario with Zankro and Rusty Rose, Zankro could have been gotten way older and stronger, and it not gotten nearly as out of hand and seemingly undefeatable as somebody like Rusty Rose. Because Rusty Rose is like Rufus before the time skip. So imagine if he had 8+ years of, or actually no, it'd be 9 years now of training and actually like wanting to get better. Like he'd be a monster. You think that'll happen a little before the final at the very end of E&D? I think we'll progressively move closer with Natsu after we get to that final point with like Gaj, or with it'll probably be after Urza and Jalal, because when you look at the major ships, we already know that Elfman and Evergreen, they've been dating since the Grand Magic Games. Like they've been dating for like 2+ years. We know obviously Gajul and Levy. We know we know Gray's literally just waiting on like one thing when it comes to Juvia. He just wants to feel strong enough to protect her. But that's like the weird thing of why like we're not seeing Gray fighting and getting stronger in 100 Years Quest. And then like Urza and Jalal, I feel like literally Urza and Jalal is just like one like big climactic scene away from like being their full canon. And at that point, like I feel like that one has to happen before Natsu and Lucy, because Natsu and Lucy is the first one and should be the last one, because that's the one everyone's waiting for the most. But Urza and Jalal is the one that has the most dramatic build up, because it's been grabbed and thrown around all over the place and beaten up. So I feel like that one will happen first, and then after that point we'll get the Natsu and Jalal, or Natsu and Jalal, Natsu and Lucy one. Because that's the thing I think with Selene. It's like we could have that in this arc, and then we could, or was at some point soon, and then Ignia could be the arc where Natsu and Lucy, have their moment. August dying just felt weird because it was kind of abrupt. That was like my biggest takeaway from it. I think the Ignia tattoo is related to the Sun Dragon God. Well, I mean, like it's one of these things like does he choose that to be on there? Is it something that it just grows? Is it an artistic choice? Is it something that he just did? Like, I think it'd be really cool for a dragon just to get tattoos. Like, maybe that's his thing. Maybe he just wanted to get, like, markings on his body, additional. Or it has something to do with, obviously, with the markings he already had. Because, the Ignial had markings on his hands, and he had markings on his on degrees of his body. Not to the same degree that Ignia has, but I'm wondering if it's going to keep extending. Let me go back and look at the Ignia panel really quick before, back when he first showed up. Let me go to, what is that, chapter 21? Let me see. No, chapter 20. One chapter off. Because the markings on his chest and his horns are different at this point when he first showed up. He has like flames on his pecs. The fire on his horns are kind of like more tame. They're like kind of just marks on the bottom parts. But like in this panel, like in this panel, like where he's at, you also have way less markings on the eyes. There's way less markings on like around his eyes. There's not the same markings on his chest. His hair isn't flowing like that. He looks way more serious here. His wings are fully out. He's looking mad. And obviously, this is like an opponent he's actually like in full awareness that he's that he's about to fight. It's not like Mersphobi, who is not even at 50% and fighting as like a raw animal. So like I'm guessing like the mark will grow as he's like putting out more effort. Maybe. Like maybe it'll go in the middle of his chest, and then it will just kind of like. Well, that'd actually be really cool if it like got bigger and it was in the middle of his chest, and maybe he like kind of like became like a giant flaming fireball kind of dragon. We have a Chimera. She has gravity magic. Kagura. Anyway, I'm gonna look at the Eden Zero chapter, and I'm gonna look at the Four Knights chapter, and then we'll end the stream there. We'll call it good. Let me see. Let me go to the Eden Zero chapter, and then I'll go to the Four Knights one. Because I don't know what's gonna happen in the Four Knights chapter, but I know to a degree what happens in the Eden Zero chapter. Because I want to give my brief opinion on it. I won't give a full chapter take. Okay, so we're starting off. Obviously, we're getting a little bit of that kind of like information on that weird flashback that Shiki saw. It seems like Ziggy modeled Witch and Sister, witches. I'm guessing all of them, rather, all the Shining Stars and Dark Stars, or at least Wizard, off of people he knew. And Wizard's just doing more attacks. He shoots more lightning at Shiki, and Shiki just kind of tanks it. We see Rebecca and Clown. This part I was a little bit bothered by. Because, like, not by Clown being goofy. I'm finding Clown being goofy. I actually really like that his dialogue boxes are done in, like, digital code, like, design. I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. But, like, Rebecca is, like, knocked off the rope. She goes into overdrive just to catch it with her tail. Why didn't she use Cat Leaper? Like, maybe, like, I imagine, like, she should be able to use Cat Leaper way more times. Maybe this is one thing she doesn't want to waste. But it's like, how much power, I guess, really do you have to use to go into overdrive? It's like, how much energy did she use just to grab something with her tail? I don't know. I would, like, she could have just grabbed it with her feet or her hands. Like, she could have just sped up and then, like, used time abilities to, like, grab it or something. I was just, like, so weirded out. She, like, went to overdrive and, like, jumped right to it. But also, one thing is, like, I thought was neat when she went to her overdrive, her sandal, like, or I guess not sandal, sorry, her high heel. I thought it was a sandal for a second. Her high heel, like, turned into the ether lines. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a neat little feature, I think. At least from what I can tell, it's what happened. We see a little bit of Killer and Wise. Wise is just shooting. It's like a digital fake. And that fight I definitely really want to see way more of in terms of, like, the match combat. Homura's not making any progress with Brigadine, and she's just too durable. And then we get back to the Shiki and Wizard fight. Wizard goes to try and use more of that Black Lightning, but Shiki just goes and blitzes him, rips a big chunk of it aside, Acnologia style. And we get, like, this part where, like, I guess Shiki was only 10% of his power. So we got one of those scenarios. And the thing I thought was really funny is, like, there was that thing in, like, volume 20 where someone said that, like, Mishima said that, like, he's actually drawing one of his characters to be cool now, like, implying that he didn't think Natsu and Haru were cool. Which, again, I feel like in context he feels more like making Shiki look cool, because, like, he's had a ton of sick panels with Natsu and Haru. But maybe he means for a different style, because, like, if he means, like, cool, like, anime cool, like, just, you know, the more calm, cool guy, which he's done a little bit more with Shiki personality-wise, but something like this, I think, would line up with that where he's like, I only use 10% of my power. I think that would be hilarious, because it's, like, cool, funny at the same time, which I like. But Shiki asks him the question of, like, if Ziggy ended up becoming crazy. But again, I think it has more to do with, like, I think the nice Ziggy was something that messed with his programming. I feel like Shiki only knew, like, a version of him that existed because of an error, whereas, like, this is the actual Ziggy or something. Like, I think that would be cooler than, like, the weird Ziggy is Shiki theories. All right, let me read the Four Knights chapter, and then I'll call the stream. Any thoughts about making an OC on Fairy Tail? My problem with making a Fairy Tail original character is I would just want to be a Fire Dragon Slayer. Like, I want to be a Fire Dragon Slayer. Like Natsu has, like, my ideal type of magic in the series. Okay, let me read the Four Knights chapter real quick. Oh, luckily Quan linked me the translated. I'll just read the translated one then. So you have Guinevere still... I assume Guinevere. That makes sense if it's Guinevere. It'd be really weird if it's not. Kissing Lancelot. Still Lancelot pulls her off, and it's, like, just asking her what she's doing. And she says, "Oh, by the time you turn 20, I'll be 16." Which, I mean, that's legal in Japan. And on top of that, this is ancient, not ancient. This is like old Britain, kind of like the Britannia. So like that's not that big of an age gap in context for the series. So that's at least in the logic I was hoping he was gonna go. I didn't really want like Kid Lancelot just hanging out with like this, like what, like, because he's 16, so she's 12. So yeah, I'd rather the 16 and 20 thing on, because it makes it a much more easier thing for the story. And I know that was one of the things people were like memeing on Nakaba for, because he's had all these like Loli and Shota pairs with like Diane and King, and you've had like Elaine and Bond, Meliodas and Elizabeth. I thought that was pretty funny, because it's like, dude is just setting himself up in this one. But like, at least from what we've seen, I'm guessing that we're gonna see the older versions of the Four Knights later, and we've seen that older depiction of Guinevere, and this is obviously the younger one we're seeing while the casts are younger. So like, if we see them later, and Guinevere is in that kind of like version that we saw Arthur envision of, like, it looked like she was, as she was saying, kind of like in that late teens, early 20s idea. I think that would make a lot of sense, because Arthur doesn't seem to age. So if like eventually the characters are more to like his age, except for Percival apparently, I think that would make more sense for later, because like it's gonna be a while before they can beat Arthur. Wait, what? Hang on a second. Did he just turn her to stone, or she turned him to stone? Or is that like a joke thing? I think it's like a joke thing. Okay, he's like turned to stone, but I think it's like a meme. Oh, she keeps reading his mind. Or no, he's saying she keeps reading his mind, but she just knows him. Like, I'm guessing it has to do with when he was in that spirit world. Let me see. Well, no, she says that she's met him, so maybe it's the first day that she's met him, but she observed him while he was like in. I can't remember what the forest or whatever the spirit world he went to was called. That I don't remember. Yeah, she confirms it is Guinevere. As I said, it's like it just made sense. It just made sense for her to be Guinevere. Let me see. Okay, we got back to Cheon and Gwaine. This is what I really wanted to see. Wait, what did she say? She was the location and the one you're searching for. Oh, so Lancelot's looking for somebody. I wonder who he's looking for. So we see Gwaine and Cheon, and he says like the power of night apocalypse. So he's not really. What is he doing right now? He's talking about, or is it just because it's raining? Oh, it's just because he's making fun of him, saying like he's not that strong. It's like he hasn't done anything yet. Oh, Tristan shows up. Oh, so it's like it's immediately thwarted by somebody on his own team. So now Cheon looks even more stupid and more like an idiot. Like Tristan, like if I was Tristan, I'd be like, legitimately, this is one of those moments like, dude, if you pull this shit again, you're off the team. Like, you're off the team if you do this again. What? Why? Because my biggest thing with Cheon is it's like I don't know if there's more to it than what I know, but if it just made no sense for him to be like, if he doesn't believe in these things and doesn't want to put his faith in them, why is he going out of his way to just cause trouble with him? He just has to ignore him. Like, if he dies during the whole thing, then there you go. But it's like, you can go attack him? What's that gonna do for you? He goes and heals Gwaine. Oh, what? Some random guy? There's some random guy in the armor. What? No, don't let this be Gwaine. This guy looks goofy. Oh, this guy's name is Tantal. So this isn't actually him. Dang it! No! No! Oh. Oh. Hang on, I have to be sad. I really liked this guy's armor. I thought this guy's armor was so cool. I love the sun design. I thought the mask was cool. I love the shield. Damn it! I'm actually upset about that. I'm legitimately mad. No. So then where's Gwaine? Is this guy Gwaine? I'm gonna laugh at Quan if this guy is Gwaine. Is this guy actually Gwaine like I said? Or is this Pelagon? Am I gonna lose this? Hang on. This is the wire. It went over to him, so it's like, but Percival's group's going. So this is the make or break moment. It's either Quan wins or I win. I'm fine with whatever the outcome is. I'm just I can't be more in sadness than I could be over that character with that armor set being some random fodder. If he becomes cool later, I'll be fine. But right now he's fodder. Oh, is this guy Gwen? No, it is Pelagard. Dang it. That's fine. I don't mind that one. I'm more sad about the dude with the freaking armor. There's no way I'm gonna recover from that unless Gwen has a cooler set of armor. I feel like logically, I think the only other way to go was Quan's idea of that girl that was like in that first panel or the first that second page rather of those 4 panels in the last chapter. I feel like that's the most logical thing now. Because the Pelagard thing was way more logical than mine. I like just mine as like a cool thing. But I knew that I knew his thing was way more of a logical thing, especially when it looked like Percival's group had like a reaction to something, because it's like, oh, logically they would have a reaction to Pelagard's magic. But I wanted my theory. I'll take that L. I knew that mine wasn't the more likely thing. I'm more sad about that armor set being on a random nobody. That actually bums me out. I was like a shield guy with a 6 suit of armor that doesn't have a freaking mouth on it. I was so happy. Man. So the chapter ends with Pelagard. That's fine. Yeah, the 100 Years Quest chapter definitely makes up for anything else that was going on. The wizard fight was sadly short too, but like Igni and Selene, that is the spread. The armor set, well, like armor, I like armors that don't have mouths. I don't really like it when they have a mouth on it. I think it looks pretty weird. Do you think? Where do you think the Black Clover story is going? It depends on the next couple chapters and what Tabata's going to do. Because we literally left the chapter off on like a no direction area kind of like ending, to where it was just kind of like, it was like, okay, cool. But it didn't give us anything to say like what was going to happen next, or like anything to theorize on the next event and actions other than Aldramalik leaving, which is a little bit of, I think, of a problem that the chapter has itself. Give Godjill a fight. Greg needs a fight too, I agree. But anyway, I'm going to end the stream. You guys have a good one, and I'm going to be hyped for this next 2 weeks. I'm fine waiting. Like, this was definitely something that I could leave 2 weeks to wait on. But anyway, other than that,